Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Three Idiots Talk Aquariums podcast.
Oh, hello.
Sorry that we're a couple minutes late, but the internet
Ryan,
not paying attention. So what are you going to do?
be truthful, Ryan wouldn't wave, and we had to sit there for 3 minutes waving at the computer until he decided to wave for us.
That was also part of our conundrum, shall we say? Just quickly, so you guys may or may not have noticed that Sunday's recording only went up yesterday. I honestly have no idea why. I don't know why it didn't work, but I just did the old try again trick and it worked. So apologies for that. If that happens again, please let us know. But computers, not exactly my best friend, so I have no idea. But yeah, so getting back into the main thing, what do you guys have going on in the fish realm that is a riveting story for all these folks?
First of all, Ryan needs to learn to mute his microphone when he's doing work that's not Three Idiots related.
This is actually Three Idiots related, but anyway,
Don't lie.
carry on.
Don't lie.
You'll see it soon. Anyway, it's okay.
I had something.
Okay,
I had something. I did something during the week. And I thought, man, I'm going to remember this, and I'm going to talk about it on the podcast. But I can't remember what it was.
Man, that is a great story. I'm so glad you shared that.
I also have a apology to the fish gods. I made a mistake.
Oh,
I made a horrendous mistake and murdered some fish.
Uh-oh.
That isn't the story I thought you were going to tell. I feel bad for my laughing reaction.
What were you thinking?
Well, I'll message it to you. If you don't want to say it on the podcast, that's okay. But
okay.
Just
anyway.
keep talking.
Okay, cool. Yeah, put it in the private chat. Anyway, the
private chat for everyone to read because that'll be hilarious. Go and do that.
The private or whatever. I don't care. But anyway, I sent. I don't like sending fish. So, but I owed Thomas some fish for the Aurora that he so nicely sent up a long time ago. And I said, right, let's send some fish. So I, spent ages going all this fish for him and stuff. And then I went into the post shop like I normally do and said, I still don't even know what you're talking about. I still don't even know what you're talking about when you send it. Send me another thing. Send me another. Oh no, I can talk about that too. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Anyway, okay, cool. So I took him into the post shop and I said, yeah, I want to send some. I want to send these the fastest way possible. And they were like, oh, yeah, cool, sweet. Stuck a courier sticker on them. I paid. I walked out. Next day they didn't show up. I was like, oh. And then I looked at the receipt and it said 2 to 3 day courier.
Oh, nice.
So it turns out that NZ Post have changed their couriers now, and they call what used to be parcel post courier, but 2 to 3 day courier. So essentially, it's not courier at all. It's just the cheap, slow way to send anything. So the fishes got sent on a Wednesday, the Wednesday of a short week due to a public holiday. So there would have been more freight than normal anyway, and they did not get there till Monday this week.
Oh, damn.
And they did not do well.
Did any of them get there?
No, they did not. They did not last 1, 2, 3, 5 days in the post. Yeah, so
I've had when I bought my Geo Tapahos, they were probably in the post for about 5 days, and I think I bought 10, and I think 7 made it. So
I sent a big mail. I sent a 20 centimeter male frontosa, and he got lost for 5 days as well, and survived somehow.
It's crazy stuff, but man, that is not ideal. What fish were they? Sorry,
there was a male Cadango and just a bunch of female dragon spuds. The stuff that he needed to make up breeding groups. So it was my fault for not checking. I obviously didn't realise that I'd done it.
Yeah,
but I did not check, and I did not realise that They must have done it ages ago. I just didn't realise that they'd changed their courier service and renamed everything to make it sound like you were getting courier, but you were getting parcel post.
I think it's fairly recently, like within the last few weeks or so. Because they've done all their price increases at the start of June, so I wouldn't be surprised if they've done their price increases and their restructure at the start of the month at the same time.
Yeah, and the lady behind the counter was just a young, I think she was a young student just working after school or whatever, and just stuck a courier sticker on it, and I didn't even check it, and so the whole thing was a bit of a okay. So yeah.
Yeah, damn, that is not ideal. That's always sad when that stuff happens, eh?
Yeah, and I felt terrible, but and Braxton was the same. I sent him one, and then they showed up the next day, and he says, "Oh, the sticker has 2 to 3 days on it," and I was like, "Oh, I thought that they had just changed their overnight and just put 2 to 3 days on it, but it was still the same service."
Oh, yeah. Just like change the label or something.
Just didn't want everyone complaining that they didn't arrive the next day, so they had an out. But normally they would. But those ones did arrive overnight from here to whatever shithole that Braxton lives in, you know.
It's like the opposite end of the country, yeah.
I love that your first thoughts are always tinfoil hat conspiracy as opposed to I've cocked up. It's something else has gone wrong in the world. Put my tinfoil
Brian has
hat
never
on.
done anything wrong in his
I
entire life.
up,
He's never done anything wrong.
Never, ever. No.
Stuffed it up, and I didn't check it.
No,
Braxton showed up alive. I mean, his were.
Did you say Braxton showed up alive?
Braxton, presumably, is still alive unless someone's impersonating him. And if they were impersonating him, I'm sure they could find someone far better than him to impersonate. I mean, you know, he's a great guy, but you know, come on.
Maybe it's a trial run to impersonate you.
Okay, I have 3 things for the segment, so if you guys want to go to break me up, you can, or whatever.
You go. I don't have anything. Oh, my thing won't take that long, so you go.
The only thing I had was allegations of you being useless and not being able to send fish in the courier correctly because Thomas told me that I had to give a shit about it. So you've already done that. And you've done it in a way that I can't attack you with it. So whatever.
So move on.
Yeah.
All right, go with the next one.
The next one is that one you were talking about, where I tried to get into a discussion with an American breeder about sort of like naming conventions of hybrid African cichlids, particularly dragon's bloods. He was posting up photos of dragon's bloods going, this is a pure dragon's blood, and this is a firefish, and this is this, and this is this. And I said, oh, you know, like, I actually have a different opinion based on the fact that they're hybrids. You know, like I don't think we can actually identify them without a breed standard, without going back to nature, without having anything to reference. And yeah, I just got destroyed. It was so funny. I was just
Can you explain that a little bit more for people who don't know about African cichlids, about like what you're talking about, what breed standard means and all this kind of thing?
In particular, how you got destroyed. No one really cares about the fish side of it. We just want to hear you get absolutely destroyed.
I will explain the fish side of it first. So a dragon's blood cichlid is a man-made fish. It does not happen in the lake. Okay,
it's just like a flat pink, like bright pink with nothing else on it really.
Well, like it actually should have just only have orange on it and no blue. Otherwise, it's a hybrid. That's what he said. So,
all right. Well,
anyway,
I can't argue with that. Yeah.
But anyway, so they took a red shoulder peacock, and they took a mambuna, which is like, so the red shoulder peacock is blue with a red stripe through it, basically, and they took a orangey yellow fish of a different species and bred them together, and then line bred the peacock to get that color back into it and the peacock shape. So basically took the generations of fish and took the babies, those ones with the right shape and the right color, breed them together, and over 20, 30 generations, they've managed to create the fish that they wanted. And since then, obviously, people have bred them, done other stuff with them, probably crossbred them, done all sorts of things to get different colors and different colors, basically.
Do you know what they started with? What two fish they started with together?
Red shoulder and red zebra. So mambuna and a peacock.
Yep.
So that's why you'll often see Dragon's Blood throwbacks kind of looking like a red-shouldered peacock. Kind of sort of looking like a red-shouldered peacock, like blood blue and red. And you're like, oh, what's that?
And it's why it's so hard to find legit red shoulders.
Yeah, because they get confused. But anyway, because like if you want to get like a red shoulder, then you just pull out Ed Conning's book, which I've got over there, and you pull up what a red shoulder looks like, and that is your reference for what a red shoulder should look like because it's in the wild. Like, so I'm saying you can't do that with a dragon's blood, so you can't actually know what it is. So yeah, you can say, yeah, it's a dragon's blood. It's a dragon's blood of some sort, and it's red, or it's pink, or it's yellow, or it's blue. You know, that's as far as I reckon you can actually identify them, because they're a hybrid. You know.
And then what did this other fellow you should stop talking to people on Facebook, by the way. But what did this other fellow reckon? Just arguing with people on Facebook, such a boomer move.
I wasn't arguing with them. I was just saying, hey, I like what you're thinking, but I disagree with. I have this opinion based on this information. And then he posted this big blurb, which he said was fact that about where they came from, and he's like, the fact is this is the fact, and you don't understand it, and this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't understand. Get off YouTube and stop watching sponsored content. And then I was like, oh, that's interesting. So you haven't actually talked about anything that I said. And then I kept going, obviously, and it didn't actually go anywhere. And I said to him, where's the breed standard? He says, oh, the breed standard was around before the internet. So it's in my head. I can look at the fish and tell what they are. And I said, well, don't you think it's a bit weird that no one else has information to this breed standard and you're the only one in the world that can do it? And he didn't understand that, it wasn't a breed standard if it was in his head. Like if you're trying to breed cats, you'd go look up the breed standard for whatever cat you're trying to breed, and you breed to that standard, But yeah, it was quite interesting. So basically it became like, America, fuck yeah. Why would you argue with me? I'm right.
So the moral of the story is stop arguing with random people on Facebook.
And don't argue with Americans. Also, all his followers jumped on and were just like heckling me because I dared to disagree with their hero. So,
makes sense.
It was quite funny. I still think he's blatantly wrong, but yeah, whatever.
What are you going to do, eh?
He does breed some really nice fish. But
hey, and that's all that matters, isn't it?
And he's obviously the holder of the standard for dragon's bloods in the world, which no one else is allowed to know.
So it's like Dragon Blood Jesus.
Yeah.
Is the standard the same job with a different paint job? I mean, the same fish with a different paint job? Because that's what they're like anyway.
Hey, grow up.
Sorry.
And
the third story.
The third story was I managed to get into the real estate office and remake the tank, and I finished that yesterday. It looks real cool.
You finished it?
I did it, yeah. So it's good.
That's annoying considering I have rocks ready to do it sitting in the shop. So
it's never going to be finished. I can still chuck more rocks in. That's all good. It's
a
Mambuta tank.
Sounds good.
But so yeah, I went through. Sorry.
Describe your aquascaping to us.
A pile of rocks in the middle of the tank.
Your display quality aquascaping.
I just found some cool rocks and stuck them in the middle of the tank.
Boom! Can't go wrong, eh?
At the end of the day, it was just full of that ambulia. And duckweed, and there was probably an inch of shit on the entire ground. All the glass was green. The water was probably 2/3 full with watermarks going up the other third. The filter and the inlet and outlet went into the water about an inch. So when the water dropped, it just sucked air in. So much so that they were used to the noise, and they thought the filter had died when I fixed it and the noise stopped happening. The UV light wasn't plugged in. There was no lid on it, so there was just condensation damage all over the wall. Yeah, it was. And the heaters were just sort of hanging in the top of the tank, just doing their random thing, half out of the water, half in the water.
So who was looking after this tank before? Was it just them doing it, or
the owner? Yeah, they bucketed water in and bucketed water out.
Oh, nice.
And the water changed every 3 weeks. She was telling me how she did discus in there, and they didn't do very well. But she knew how to keep discus, and I was just like, this is not a tank for discus.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to maintain it like better. So yeah, I cleaned all the filter out. I actually found that computer water cooling pipes with the right diameter, and the clear plastic tubes, and they actually have mandrels that you can heat it up with a heat gun and bend it around to make your own filter pipes. So I bought a bunch of them. They're really cheap too, and I bought all the mandrels and stuff and the cutters and that, so I could make up proper, proper filter pipes the right size and the right shape and stuff to actually fit in there properly and have the intake at the bottom of the tank so it sucks up the poo and stuff. Reran all the filter lines, made a lid, put an inline heater in, put an ink bird in there, put a decent light on. Tried my best to gravel vacuum it, but it's not working. It's just, I can't get to the front of the tank because it's a big triangle tank and you can't see what you're doing. So I just did my best. And I'm going to try and put a wave maker in there to keep stirring the crap up so that it gets sucked up by the filter, basically.
Sounds like a good plan.
Scraped all the glass, put some committed another cardinal sin against fish and put some Africans in there with the bleeding heart tetras that are already in there.
You would.
Cancelled.
Oh, they're actually quite happily swimming around together. So I'll go back and check them and see if they're doing all right. But they're
angry. I'm just disappointed.
It was funny because when I cleaned the tank and stuff, the people in the shop, the place were like, "Oh, did you add all those fish?" I was like, "No, those fish have always been there. You just never be able to see them."
Oh,
so and I also set up a python for them.
Oh, man.
$16 Temu python does the damage.
So are they going to do the water changes and stuff, and you're just going to?
So you wave for your missus, but you won't wave for me. That's not okay.
Talking. Sounds about right. But
yeah, the more important thing.
That sounds like a cool setup, though. Like that's a really good. I reckon Mbuna is good for non-fish people to see.
The only thing with it is the tank is borderline too small for Mbuna. Like it's probably big enough, but it might not be. So I've just got to keep an eye on it and basically go back.
Well, at least
and
at least you can swap them out easy enough.
Oh, exactly.
Just use it as a grad tank for yourself. And
I put in a bunch of. I just put yellows. No, well, they bought the fish, so they're theirs now. But if it doesn't work, I'll fix it for them. But I put Mapanga and yellows in there.
Oh, nice, good combo.
And the Mapanga was strutting around, colouring up, and they're like, "Oh my god, look at these fish! They're so cool." And I put babies in there too, like just 2 centimeter ones to swim around the rocks and stuff, just so there's some interesting, different stuff in there.
Yeah. No, it sounds good. So you going back every week to look after it, or are they?
Now they're going. Now I've set up the python and taught them they're going to do that. I didn't actually want to do that. I wanted to just make the tank look nice. But I think I'll go back every month or so.
Why didn't you want to do maintenance for them?
Because I just run a business and don't really have the time to go and do water changes on someone else's tank when I got my own.
That's not what I really wanted. What I wanted you to say, but it's okay.
But I also set up the python so that they don't have to bucket, because they were only doing water changes every 2 to 3 weeks, and it would take them like 2 hours. And there'd be water everywhere, and it's just a nightmare. So we're setting up the python for them. Just screw it onto the tap, drain it, fill it back up, done.
Call it a day.
Yeah, so the maintenance will be a lot easier for them to do.
And as well, the easier the maintenance is, the more likely you are to do it.
I also got the aluminium trim pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Because it sits in the corner of a room, but it had big gaps around it and stuff, and it was a bit ugly, and you can see the top of the water. So I put aluminium trim around the whole thing, and then siliconed it in so that it looks like it's part of the wall, and you can't see the water level and stuff. So it looks pretty cool. That's
cool. That's a really underrated, like little finishing touch you can do that makes such a big difference, eh?
Yeah. And put decent lighting on it too, but I think we've probably got to put some more lighting on. Because it's a triangle tank, the bit you view is the tip of the triangle, and with a long aquarium light, you can't actually get a light into that tip.
So you're saying that the triangle sticks out from the wall?
Yeah, it's in the wall. It's on the corner of a wall.
Isn't the triangle Isn't the triangle meant to recess into a corner so you get that front
Yeah,
glass?
so you view here and you view here, but the fish you view basically the front corner is where I've left a gap for the fish to sort of hang out and people to mainly see.
That's kind of cool. That's like backwards, but
I'm
something
totally
fun
lost.
and interesting.
It's a corner of the building going into the hallway.
I know what a corner is. Yep.
Yeah, and the tank is in the corner, and the reception area is. You can view it from all sides, but one's the office and one's the reception area. So, yeah. But anyway,
Man,
a spotlight in that corner would be quite cool, just to highlight, just to bring the fish out when they're swimming through there. But
when you come this afternoon, Ryan, have a look through my lights. I got heaps of lights. We'll have one that'll work.
Yeah, well, there you go. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. It looks cool. I'm looking forward to going back and seeing it, making sure the fish aren't killing each other.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. All right. What were you gonna tell any stories, Cam, or you done?
Unlikely. I can't think of anything.
You said you had something.
I was just giving you shit about what you did with Thomas's fish.
Fair enough. Oh well.
Also, for that one, I am just going to send Thomas some more fish because I did stuff up. So,
are you going to check your repeat, make sure they go overnight this time around?
Yeah, I can safely say that I will not make that mistake again.
Sure, you won't.
Ever.
Good start. Yep. Well,
also the courier text. Tom rang them to find them, and then they text him, and he sent me the text that says, "The seller has used 2 to 3 day courier on this item, so you cannot expect it till Monday." And I was like,
surely you could upgrade it, like while it's in transit.
Don't think so, because as we know, couriers, even though they only have one job of picking something up and dropping it off, they have no idea where it is unless it's at the pickup or the drop off location. Once it's in between, it's gone.
Yep, makes sense.
And often they just have one scan between the two places, and you're like, how did it get all the way from Auckland to Christchurch with only one scan, a pickup and a drop off? Surely it's been scanned should have been scanned like 10 times in between, but it doesn't.
So are you going to be consulting with the post office to refine their systems? Is that your next hustle?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Give me $1 million a year. I'll definitely consult for them.
All right, cool. Well, I'll ring them up.
As long I'll give me an appointment with Aramex.
Yeah.
I almost got Aramex actually with one of my deliveries. It sucked, but it did show up in the end. They just refused to deliver it. Just decided they weren't going to deliver it and said it was problem freight and just chucked it in the corner somewhere.
Sounds good.
Okay.
What I was going to say is in relation to one of the topics we had probably 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, or something like that. Yesterday, I actually went to Hamilton Zoo for a bit of a day trip. So that was lit. There wasn't a ton of fish-related stuff, but there was it looked like it wasn't finished, but it looked like they're building a big eel pond, which is kind of cool. It wasn't that big, but it didn't look finished, so I have no idea what they're doing with the rest of it. But
was it the viewing window or just a pond to the ground?
No, it was like a viewing, they had like a platform on the top, kind of almost like a
bridge.
Not really it was like one of those ones where they have like a deck over it, and you could go up and see. Obviously there was no eels in there, and it was just like an empty shell kind of thing. So I don't know what it'll look like when it's finished. I assume it wasn't finished, but yeah. Other than that, there's some cool stuff around. Not a ton fish related, but plenty of other bits and pieces.
You saw some fat pukekos too, didn't you? Tell everyone about the fat pukekos.
Oh yeah, didn't I say that last week? No,
I don't think so.
Oh, fair enough. But I went to where's that called? Tawhanui a wee while ago, and we're just going for a walk, and then I saw some takahes. So we're walking at the start after we've been walking for maybe 10 minutes. Just on the side of the road, just some takahes were just standing there, eating some, foraging for some stuff, and that was pretty crazy. I was like, oh my god, because like there's so many pukegos. There's like hundreds and hundreds of pukegos, and I just like looked to the right, and I was like, "Hey, that's a weird looking pukego," and I was like, "Wait a second, hold on." And then yeah, so we stood there for like ages just watching them, and then they're just doing their thing. Like there was a pair, they're just doing their thing, eating and wandering and whatever. And then we kept walking, and then like maybe half an hour later, we were just walking. This part was like through the bush, and I heard this weird like honking kind of sound, and I stopped and I turned around, and then these two more takehis just like walked across the little path. They're just like trudging along. These guys like looked like they were trying to go somewhere, and they just walked along and then walked off into the bush. And I was like, oh my god. And so I don't know if anyone doesn't know Tawharanui. It's like a pretty big park. It's like massive. It's like a reserve. And then in the car on the way home, my missus like messaged the Facebook page. I was like, oh, how many? Like we saw 4 takahe. Like how many is there in the park? And we're thinking like if we've seen 4, there must be like 10. You know.
Hundreds of them.
Yeah. Well, I knew there's not hundreds because like they're very endangered.
Are they quite endangered? Are they?
Yeah, there's like a few hundred kind of thing in all of New Zealand. So like, well, in all of the world, I guess. So like, I know there wouldn't be many, but I thought there'd be like 10 maybe if we seen 4. They're like, oh, you're so lucky. We only have 4. And I was like, what the fuck? That was so crazy that like in the whole place, like, and even if we'd been like 1 minute later, the second pair would have, already gone or gone before, whatever. So yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Apparently, Google says 500 birds.
Oh, that's pretty decent. I know there's quite a few on islands as well.
South Island bird mainly.
Because there used to be a North Island takahe, but they've got that's extinct. So they like just found these. They found these ones in the Murchisons down south, and then they breed them and then move them around various places. The Murchison Mountains. It's like south.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and they've got a takahe centre down there too. There we go. Burwood Takahe Centre.
I saw a funny picture. I saw a funny picture about that Burwood Takahe Centre when they first set it up, because they're like hand rearing the chicks. They had these sock puppets that they like allegedly look like the adult takahes to like teach them how to eat and that. But it was like someone just got a blue and a red sock, basically. It was like the world's least convincing sock puppet. And they'd just like feed these takahe. But then I saw that they had to stop doing it because then when they got sent out to the reserves and that, then the takahes weren't very good at finding food and weren't very good at raising chicks and stuff. Because these sock puppets were so bad at like teaching them, because it was like they were like phoning it in, man, with this disguise. It was not a good disguise. So
and they probably they got someone like who thought it would be a good idea, but had absolutely no practical skills to make it. Probably like some sort of environmental scientist or something.
Yeah. So now, because I know now what they do is like when they pull eggs out and they want to like captive raise them, they have other takahe pairs that like foster them and like adopt them, and like they raise them even if it's not the same parents, because then they're much better at teaching them like what to do.
Yeah, you think a takahe is better than a sock puppet?
Yeah, well, I think at the time it was because there was no there just wasn't enough birds to actually do anything. So it's like out of necessity. But now there's a few more they can get it done. Cool. So yeah.
Did you guys hear about those tuatara that they found when they were pulling down that zoo exhibit or something? I can't remember where it was. They're rebuilding a zoo exhibit. I think it might have been Wellington or something, and they were like ripping it all up, and they found a tuatara baby in the old exhibit, and they're like, "Oh my god, they've been laying eggs!" And then apparently they had to stop the construction, use thermal cameras and stuff, and they found 5 of them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I did see that. That's crazy, man. That's such cool things. If you're for our, for the international listeners, you guys should Google that. Like, just Google them. They're such cool little animals.
Yeah, they're cool.
And so weird looking, but in a good way. So yeah, no, that was basically what I've been up to fish wise. not much has really been happening, to be honest. But
is the shop empty yet?
Almost. When you come this afternoon and pick up all your stuff, it'll go a long way. And then, yeah,
I don't even know what stuff I've
really
got, but that's all right. I have to mostly clear some room.
It's mostly a surprise. It's not too much, but I have this box, and I've just been chucking, like, when I've been going through stuff, I'll be like, I'm sure Ryan will like this. And
Ryan's a hoarder. He'll chuck this under his house and never use it.
Some of it is good stuff, and then some of it is like, I'm going to throw this in the bin, and then I'm like, wait, maybe Ryan will like it. I don't know. I'll give it to him, and then he can bin it if he doesn't want it.
You're probably giving me back some of the stuff that I gave you that I didn't want to throw out.
Oh, there's definitely some stuff you've given me that I'm giving back.
Just wrap a box in tinfoil and you'll take it all.
Boom. Problem solved.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the awkward part of every show where I say this is the listener mail segment, but we don't have any listener mail. So I'm not going to lie.
Go into the emails, and I think this is something that we could maybe get the listeners to participate in. And help us write an email. Go into the email.
Can we get a reply from Glass?
I can't. I'm on my phone because my computer was not working. So you'll have to read it out.
No, I've started to draft an email to the people that are running the show, the New Zealand show, about us having a guest appearance. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
I thought Auckland Glass got back to us. That would have been awesome.
I've been waiting for the Auckland Glass's response. I'm waiting for our listeners to reach out to Auckland Glass and tell them they won't support them unless they do actually battle us. But so yeah, it was supposed to be more funny, but you're not reading it. So it's just going along the lines.
You read it out.
Well, it's only a draft at the moment. I needed some help with it, but I said, I'm sure you have heard of us, and this email will reach you with great excitement. As New Zealand's premier, I guess, aquatic podcasters, we would happily have a guest appearance at the show. We may even negotiate our usual appearance fee to help make the show a success. So I just thought people might be able to join in on that and, just make this email beautiful before it gets sent in for consideration.
How about that can be your contribution to this week's content, hey? You can manage that.
I'm creating all the listener mail by writing it all myself.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do, eh? We, I guess don't have much else to really talk about. So thank you for handling it all for us. I'm sure everybody appreciates it, but if you have anything to say, any stories or questions or anything, listeners, please send it in. It'd be much appreciated. So
where are they going to send it?
Wherever you want.
Doesn't matter.
We'll find it.
What's the email address?
Just don't send it at Aramex because we'll never get it. Anyway.
Well, no, the actual.
We're looking for a sponsor. If you're keen to sponsor us, we love your courier service.
The serious answer is podcast3idiots@gmail.com or Facebook Messenger or I don't know, Instagram, however you like, basically. Oh, as you can see, Cam has very kindly written it down for everybody, so you don't even need to remember it. You can just copy and paste it out of the comments.
He's vanished, and then it's... Oh, he's come back. Well,
Bro's magic.
Again. He's appeared out of nowhere.
It's our 2-hit combo. You say the email address, and I put it in the comments every time.
Oh, good idea. I also want to, while I just saw it, I'd like to shout out your shirt. Can't beat a fish related shirt. It says, what does it say? Pleco something. Pleco. Oh yeah, and a picture of a gold nugget.
Slogan: you can't beat a fish related shirt. It's better than you can't beat a trumpet, I think.
It is.
What about you can't beat a root? The root can beat you. Talking clearly about beetroot, obviously.
Oh, I thought you were talking about beating your meat, but it's a different story, isn't it?
No, I'm talking about beetroot.
Come on.
Okay.
Can I have a can I have a chance of talking about something that happened to me this week? Because I did something. I remember now.
Did you
Sure,
fart and
why
shit
not?
yourself again?
No, the small desktop aquarium that I set up months ago. The filter stopped working for about 2 months, but I got the filter going this week.
Oh, nice.
Did you plug it
That'll
in?
help.
No, I did plug it in after I unplugged it, but I took the motor out and I cleaned out the impeller and then it started working again. There's no fish in
Oh,
it.
who would
It's
have
just,
thunk it? Just
well,
gross.
I was like, filter's not working, but it's not going to be detrimental to anything. But I just remembered because I accidentally knocked over the peace lily that was growing in it quite stably, and now it's not stable, which is why I just got up and moved.
Oh,
That's all I've got.
can I go with that?
That's all I've got.
That's cool. Well done.
Sweet ass. Well, I guess that's it for that segment. So we'll move on to random question time.
I'm not going to chance.
Excuse me. This question, I don't know if Ryan's going to have an answer given his age, his extreme age.
Also, I officially got old recently.
Not recently. Very long ago.
We bought a Suzuki Swift, and the Recaro seats in it hurt my back too much when I drive it. It's got my back's stuffed, so it hurts my back, so I can't drive it.
Oh, what are you going to do, eh?
So it's funny.
You're going to have to put some new seats in it.
Or put a
get one of those like lazy boy seats and you know,
Googling it, and got to put a lumber roll in there and stuff. So, yeah.
Oh my god, you are old. But yeah, I don't know if Ryan's going to have an answer to this question, but we'll give it a go. But what is your favorite YouTuber? Not fish related, just like general, I guess.
Mr.
Or YouTube
Beast
channel or something.
Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast. I love his stupid Mr. Beast challenges. He's awesome.
What about you, Cam?
I go down the Mr. Beast rabbit hole regularly when he does stupid shit like puts people in rooms and fucks with them and gives them money and stuff.
God. That's not the answer I was expecting you to have. So interesting. Good to know.
Project Binky. Project Binky's awesome as well.
What about you, Cam? Hit me.
Probably Grego, the Australian guy.
Oh, never heard of him.
No, it's all right.
What's he do?
Cooks ridiculously simple recipes and makes chaos doing it, but not really chaos. And then does random food reviews of random shit, and then gets drunk and does lives and acts like a fool.
That's hilariously similar to what I was going to say. I love Uncle Roger, man.
Typical bogan Australian stuff.
Yeah. Well, nah, I can't beat Uncle Roger, man. That guy's hilarious.
Roger!
I love it. But yeah, good to know. So we shall move on to the actual fish-related topic today, and we've got a bit of time. So
I think
what more could you want?
This is your time to sing. Sing the song. Go.
Me?
You don't know the song, do you, Cam?
What song?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a good song, but anyway, it's a song. The Winds of Change is a song, but anyway.
Sure. I trust you.
Great song. It's a great song.
So today's main topic is something that Ryan definitely talks about quite a lot, and it's something that briefly came up when we were talking to Andrew last week or whenever that was. And that is what I guess people would call like seasonal fish keeping or something like that. So I don't know I think it might be better if Ryan kind of describes what you mean when you bring this up all the time. What are we talking about? What is the seasonal nature of fish keeping that you've noticed in your many years of being alive?
Well, when I was a young whippersnapper and we used candles under the tanks to heat them, it didn't actually matter. But these days, with the power that comes out of the walls and the mice that are turning treadmills and stuff around the place to produce power, it costs money. And usually the most expensive thing in your fish tank, in terms of power, is the heater, because you got to heat all the waters up. Otherwise, the fish don't do very well. And it is very common for people to get infected by the disease. Usually in summer, people usually spend a little bit more money in summer and get out and about and do stuff more in summer. So they go out and they get one tank, and then they get another tank, and they get another tank, and they get another tank, and then their house fills up with tanks. And they go, where am I going to put all these tanks? And they go put them in the shed out the back and in the garage. And then it's all good because it's quite warm in Auckland, you know. And then the power bills are all good.
Hold on. Just for the record, there is more to New Zealand past the Bombay Hills, you fucking meat axe. Continue with your story.
Whoa. This reminds me of a Facebook post where you were called out for being rude and inappropriate and told to grow up and be professional. All right, sort your shit out.
Come on, move on.
So anyway, this is picture this. It's all good. We're in the heat of summer. The heaters are barely turning on. All these fish, you know, that we're out getting tans and drinking beers and having barbecues, and then all of a sudden the temperature drops, and then you wait for the first power bill, and the power bill's gone from $200 to $1,000 in a month. And you go, oh,
and $1,000 is a large number.
And what happened? And then it's usually the fish keeper in the family is usually like, oh my god, I got to hide this from said partner. But then partner will go, these fish have got to go, rah, 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 rah. And then
I'm going to say something that is going to be unpopular with the I guess audience, but fair enough. $1,000 is a large number, you know.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. But this does happen, and then you see people just ramping up in summer. I go and visit their fish rooms or hear about them, and I just look at it and go, "What have you done for insulation?" Oh, it doesn't matter. It stays nice and warm in here, so it's not going to overwinter.
For now, it does.
It's going to kill you.
Yeah,
you know. No, it'll be fine. And then they sell everything over winter.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Yeah, I guess that's a good kind of overview, and it is something. It's something that people don't seem to talk about, but is very common. I mean, at least in New Zealand. Obviously, I don't know what goes on around the rest of the world, but around here, you do see it kind of at the start of winter, more and more tanks getting put on Facebook and Facebook Marketplace and stuff. People trying to get rid of them, and that is really why. So, if I was a person who was getting a bit obsessed with this fish keeping malarkey,
hypothetically speaking, if you were,
yes, if this was theoretically the case, how would you recommend going about it?
Insulation rules the nation. How's that for a saying? There you go.
That's a good one. I like it.
Yes, just I would say don't be dumb, but everyone does it to start. You've got to learn. Everyone's got to learn, right? And you get keen and you get excited and you just start throwing tanks everywhere. But just think about what you're doing before you do it, and put some insulation in if you can.
But the thing is, how do you think about something that you don't know about? If this is your first time around in the winter season of keeping fish, how are you going to know what it's going to be like to think about? You can't think about stuff
because you listen to this. You listen to this podcast. That's why
we're talking about it. That's why we're talking about it.
But you don't know.
No, that.
Well, they know now.
I nearly continued on with that.
Now because we've talked about it, there's no excuse for anyone ever to not know about it.
Ever in the history of the world.
That's it. It's done.
Exactly.
If I see anyone else do it, I'm going to go up to their face and say, "You are a fucking idiot."
Are you sure? Are you sure we really want to negotiate our fee when it comes to going to the aquatic show now? Because we just dropped this massive bit of information to everybody.
Well, yeah, we're just giving away the golden goose. But yeah, so if you would look,
Ryan, I have a question.
Sorry,
I have a question. So you said insulation is the best idea, but obviously this is, I guess, a solution that's more geared towards someone who's got all their aquariums in one sort of space, be that like a room in their house or a dedicated fish room in a garage or something. But what happens if I don't have that? What would you suggest if I've just got them kind of dotted around my house, a couple in the living room, one in the hallway, one in the bedroom, this kind of situation? What would be your approach for that?
Well, there's a hard one.
Really hard.
The only thing you can do is put polystyrene on as many sides of your tank as you can.
Yeah.
I have seen people that have a piece of polystyrene or something like that, and stick it on the front of their tank at night. Once the lights are out, and stop the heat from coming out there as well. Stick a piece of polystyrene on top. But obviously, you've got to be as practical as you can. Your missus doesn't want 400. Your mister doesn't want 400 pieces of polystyrene sitting around the house and bloody the kids picking off all these little bits of polystyrene because it's lying around everywhere. So, but generally,
what about blankets?
Blankets would work. Yeah, in a
bit more tidy looking.
In a modern house, not like my house, they tend to stay quite warm. So it's probably okay with it in a modern house with actual insulation and double glazing and that sort of stuff. And as Helen says, curtains and things like that help. But it's generally the people that go mad and put it in the sheds and stuff and set up big massive fish rooms without insulation that have the problems. I think the major problems.
There's other ways as well, because we're talking about power. When purchasing your equipment, you can pay attention to how much power they use. For example, like the Sun canister filters run more wattage than the Eheim ones. So like it's running 24 hours a day. So although it's not going to increase it over the winter time, it's going to be contributing if you're running 100 watts.
It all adds up.
Compared to 30 watts 24/7, it all adds up. So if you're pepper potting your tanks around the place, that's another way of doing it, of keeping it low,
a bit more safely.
I think think the filtration and stuff, it does add to it, but it is often insignificant. Like if you actually work it out, it can be like $1 a month or something for
you're an electrical engineer. It doesn't take an electrical engineer to work out that 100 is bigger than 30.
Wait, what?
Yeah, but if you do the maths on it, you find out it might cost you, $1 extra or $2 extra a month. And when you buy an Eheim, you might pay $600 as opposed to $200. So you'll work out that you might pay $2 extra a month, but it takes you, 20 years to pay off the difference in the purchase price.
So that's $25 in a year. That's $25 in a year, 10 years to get it paid off. You're going to have to buy a second cheap one in that time, so it works out cheaper. Anyway, I'm just going a little bit further now.
But like when you're running multiple tanks, you are definitely better off to run a big air pump and run air-powered systems than run individual heaters and filters and stuff, So that's what I find to be efficient.
Why not running everything on a single sump system?
Or you can run a big sump if you want to get disease go through all your tanks. I mean, it's your call. I think that's one of the definitions of insanity. But anyway, people do it and it does work. So I've just seen so many disasters with it.
Yeah, so I guess the main danger is that heat sort of consumption with the electricity. The other thing I wanted to kind of almost going the other way with it is if you do want to kind of do that and really go into it, especially over the summer months, I'd say being intentional about it would go a long way. So in one of our earlier episodes, like it will be a while ago, maybe 6 months ago or something, we had a discussion about the summer tub ponds. And so I think that's a really good way to kind of sort of kill two birds with one stone, if you like, where these basically have no power consumption. You almost don't need a filter depending on what you're doing. And I mean, obviously, definitely God does the heating. So these are like little patio pond type things you keep. Generally, you'd keep outside, although, I mean, you could keep it inside if you were so inclined, I suppose.
Could we ask God to heat our tanks in winter too?
Yeah, I mean, if he can do it outside, why can't he do it inside? That's a great point.
But, yes, so... well, I lost what I was saying. Thanks. Oh, no, what I was saying is...
I was just a very genuine question. You're saying that God heats your pond for you. Why can't he heat our tanks for us?
Or
Dunno,
she.
ask him.
Or she. Or her.
Or,
Indeed.
or them, they.
But, the ponds would just sit outside, and you can use this as a way to, if you're wanting to get more tanks so you can breed such and such a fish, for example, you can do it outside in a way that doesn't increase power consumption, but kind of understand that this is just a summer thing, and then when we get to winter, you would shut them down or remove the fish at least and do whatever, but you've got your indoor tanks to like do whatever you're wanting to do with your indoor tanks, and just kind of being intentional to understand like this is I guess a more approachable way to have these extra tanks or these extra fish or plant, whatever you're trying to do. And then, yeah, you can just go every summer to do that and then shut them down. And even in summer, it's not adding to your power bill. So it's a little bit more, I guess, approachable and manageable for a lot of people. So that's one. If you are interested in,
power isn't going to get any cheaper. Like it's gone. I think my power bills have gone up $100 on the same usage in a year. Looking back, they've gone up heaps. And when everyone starts getting electric cars, it's just going to get more expensive. So it's
get some solar panels or something.
Solar would be good. I think that Rodney's Tropical put solar through his to get the power bills down, which would be interesting.
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, I do wonder. I wonder sometimes, like a canister filter has those pipes running up. They'll be cooling the water too as they're flowing through there. Would you benefit from insulating those with a heat wrap or something? I don't. I
think it's definitely not. It's definitely going to help. I don't. How much it helps, who knows?
It'd be interesting to measure. It'd be hard to measure, wouldn't it? I guess you'd have to have two identical tanks. Wrap one, not wrap the other, have them at the same temperature.
Just cycle when the cycle when your heater turns on and off, and how often.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, the one that's cooling off will have the heater on more often, wouldn't it? So if you totally insulate one, including your filter pipes,
you could just put a power meter on them.
Yeah.
You could put a power meter on one and measure. You'd have to have two identical tanks, though.
Because you're a tight shit, I knew all you'd want to talk about is how to save money over the winter costs, and you've forgotten things like summer, which is another season, and you've forgotten all the other bits of keeping fish because you're tight and it's all about the money side of it. In the winter, I find that people get more enjoyment out of the aquariums because they're inside more often, so they're spending more time with their fish in their aquariums. And I arguably think that fish keeping in the winter is more of an enjoyable hobby time than fish keeping in the summer.
Also,
I definitely agree with that.
When your hands are cold and the tank is warm, it's better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we both know that winter is pretty much always more of a busy time in retail, especially like the first part of winter at the very least. So that would kind of indicate the similar thing. And I guess it's almost a question of not biting off more than you can chew so that it doesn't sort of drain the fun out of the other half of what you're trying to do, which is, enjoying your tanks inside without having to stress about the money side or anything like that. So I guess it is both. Or can be both.
Make sure you can actually feed your family and your partner's not going to murder you and stuff. It's good as well.
Those are relatively important parts in life.
Yeah, it's a good start.
And then in the summertime, there's the issue that your aquariums get ridiculously hot and everyone freaks out that the temperature's going too high and my water's in the 35s and what's going to happen, my fish are all gasping and stuff like that. So, again, just because I knew you'd be totally directing this at the winter and saving money.
It's important. It's important.
Tight. It is important. There's
is it tight or smart? I don't know.
I think you're tight, Mister. I'm going to buy something for $3 and spend 5 hours crafting it as opposed to spending $6 on just buying it brand new.
Yeah.
But then you see, then you give me shit. I've got this idea and do this.
I haven't had to run any heating in my fish room yet this year, so that's pretty good.
What are you running it on? The air pump and the lights?
Air pump, lights, and a dehumidifier.
Yeah.
And I regulate the temperature by opening and closing the door. Nice. And they're still at 26, so Happy.
Cool.
Happy days.
On the
other
contract,
power set,
I had a $950 power bill this month, so good times.
And you got a lot
That's
of
a large
aquariums.
number.
Though. I'd say that's pretty good for the amount of aquariums you got.
Yeah, I've
And you don't
actually
have any proper insulation though, right?
No, I'm theorizing on this one. If I double the amount of aquariums that I've got, that amount of water is going to keep the air warm enough to drop the power bill eventually. Just need to fund another 100 aquariums.
And
only one way to
drop
find
it
out.
proportional to the amount of tanks, not actually drop it, is what you're saying.
Well, I think at one point it'll plateau in the amount because the water will be keeping the room, albeit big, but it'll be keeping the room warm. So the heaters won't flick on as often, and then all the pumps that are running will begin working as well.
It'll be a balancing act between the energy that the fish tanks can impart into the air versus the energy that the lack of insulation is sucking out of the air. So it'll be, it'll be you can do that experiment to let us know. Yeah.
So I see how many thousands of dollars I have to spend, and then all of a sudden it stops costing me extra money, and I'll be able to have more fish tanks.
Free aquariums heater.
Man's found a life hack.
You've pretty much just created free energy.
Life hack: get more fish tanks.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other, I guess it's almost the opposite. But the other thing I wanted to say was another energy saving tab, which I guess is more or less what this episode has turned into. But this is for summer, and obviously depending on where you live and depending on what type of fish you keep, a lot of places you won't need to even use your heater in summer at all. So generally I'll unplug them in summer, like the height of summer, because I find, say you've got, your tank is setting at like 26 during the day, but then I find they only drop to like maybe 23, 22 overnight, and that's fine. That's still warm enough where nothing is going, like the fish aren't going to notice, you'll be fine. But it's, especially over winter, overnight, if they get to like 10 degrees, then stuff is going to die. So you can save, it's not going to make the world's difference, but you don't need a heat for those 2 degrees difference or 3 degrees difference, and you'll be safe and nothing bad will happen. So that's another little good one for you.
I disagree with that statement, but it's all right.
Why?
I reckon just leave your heaters plugged in. They've got a thermostat in them. Leave it alone.
Yeah,
Don't
but
fuck with it.
but if you have it,
I agree.
One less thing to go wrong. It keeps things more stable. It's got a thermostat in it. If you want it to drop to 22 overnight, just leave your heater on 22 all year if you're happy with them being at that temperature, and just leave it. Forget about it. Then you don't forget to plug it in. If you have a cold snap or anything, it's all good. I reckon it's stupid.
That's the thing, though, because if it has, if you say it's one less thing to go wrong, I say there's one more thing to go wrong, because then you're obviously removing the danger that the heater sticks on, of when you're not around to catch something happening. So you're not going to cook your fish.
But that's a silly argument if you're not going to get rid of that heater, because you're going to plug it back in at some stage and it's going to stick on. So
yeah, but it's reducing the risk.
Well, some would say it's actually increasing the risk because you're not exercising that thermostat, the biometric strip that's making the thermostat.
But you're not using it when you don't need to use it. So you're like basically, how would you saving it? I guess saving that exercise for times when you actually need it, and not when it's just unneeded. Oh shit! What have I done? Oh, can you still hear me?
I'd say that most people. I'd say people should be running ink birds anyway to mitigate that risk, or decent heaters. Sure. But
ink birds. Is it wrong for me to be saying that we're now 2 weeks into winter and some of my tropical aquariums don't have heaters in them still?
You're in a different situation though, because you're sandwiched them between other tanks that are heated, right?
Well, some of them are, some of them aren't. For the record, we had our first proper frost this morning, so like it is frosty cold. So I've got tanks in the shop that don't have any heaters in them, and there is a distance between them and a heated aquarium. So the room itself stays warm-ish because there's enough water in there to keep it warm. But the temperature's not of the tank, it's not getting much higher than 22-ish, but it's remaining stable. I've got actual tanks in the retail shop that have got no heaters in them whatsoever with bronze corridors and things like that. So I'm playing around with that. But again, it's remaining stable in big environments. And there's tanks out the back here that have got no heaters in them as well, that are a distance away from heated tanks too, and they're getting into the early 20s. So just sort of playing around with the belief that our fish need to be kept at only 25 degrees, give or take, isn't totally true in a lot of cases, I think.
And they don't need it 100% stable either. Like nature's not stable either. I mean, I guess if you look at some fish, like some of the fish that I keep, they are in a massive, and some of the fish in the Amazon too as well, I guess. Some of them are massive bodies of water that don't really vary that much overnight. And the temperatures don't drop that much overnight. So we do have to be wary of that. But yeah, it is interesting. I don't agree with the unplug a heater, plug it in, unplug a heater, plug it in sort of I think that's stupid and just a recipe for disaster. But just, you know, for the record,
I'm finding that African cichlids are more sensitive to heat than a lot of Amazonian species of fish.
Oh, definitely. And yeah, they don't like hot water.
No, they don't like too hot, too cold. Where the Amazonian species,
Tanganyikans especially, do not like it hot.
Yeah. And
in general, though, Tanganyikans, if you look at them funny, they'll die. So it's a general problem, not just a heat problem.
They come from a very big, stable, highly oxygenated lake. So,
whereas the Amazon and other rainforests fluctuate a lot more, and there's a lot more highs and lows. Where I think, you know, Amazonian or agapo type fish can handle a bit more fluctuations because, like in the summertime, they're down to 50 centimeters or 20 centimeters of water. That's ridiculous.
There's not a lot of oxygen in there either, right?
And in the winter, there's massive bodies where the fluctuations far less in the rift lakes. So definitely heat-wise, rift lakes seem to be more sensitive, particularly getting cold.
Yeah, and hot.
I've found them to be much more sensitive getting too hot, I reckon. But I suppose that's also to do with the oxygenation levels.
I had my whole fish room go to 15 degrees when I left the door open that time, and nothing died. They were just slow, and they warmed up, and they were happy. So I wouldn't want to go much more than 15 degrees, though. But, yeah,
it's obviously not ideal, but in case of emergency kind of situation.
Yeah.
I just think, as a general, our fish are slightly more robust than we give them credit for. Not saying let's chill our fish all the time, but
there is an argument. There's definitely an argument for stability, but then there is an argument. There is definitely a consideration that they can handle a little bit. You know. Oh no!
You argued for stability. You argued for it. I'm cutting that, and I'm going to put that into every single possible meme that I can for the rest of my life. There is an argument for stability.
Oh,
you just you're like arguing with an American.
Yeah, I'm writing the timestamp down, and that is going to be put on everything every single day.
Yeah, anyway,
sounds good.
There's an argument for keeping your tanks stable, but I don't think that it's a massive thing. I haven't had any issues over summer. Like I regulate the temperature in the fish room. It's gone up to 30 degrees and stuff a couple of times. The tanks in here go up and down, but in a modern insulated house, it might be an issue. My house cools down overnight because it's old and crap.
150 years old.
A little bit like its owner.
It's got drafts.
Just like its owner. Booyah.
Do you just repeat the same joke twice?
Yeah. Booyah.
So we're talking about keeping things warm in winter, but how do we keep things cool in summer if people are genuinely concerned?
There's a few ways.
It's a great option.
Yeah, that's the best way. The old evaporation trick is going to do a lot of good. That's what a lot of people use for axolotls, especially when they're needing a bit cooler water. Just the fan going across the top. I actually have
a cool idea. You can get an ink bird. Here we go. That has a heating and a cooling output in it, so it will control the heater, but it will also control a fan. So you could clip a fan onto your aquarium and have it plugged into the cooling output of the ink bird, and when it hits a certain temperature, it would automatically turn the fan on for you over summer.
Boom.
And then it would turn it off again and once it reached there. That could
Too
be a life
easy.
hack for someone that actually really has problems with it and wants it automated.
Yeah. But yeah, I find definitely the heat isn't as much of a problem as the, and as the summer side isn't as big a problem as the winter side for sure for a lot of people.
But I guess going into summer, you should always just do a general check of your tank too and make sure you've got enough surface movement and enough aeration, enough surface movement to actually disperse everything and keep everything going. Like especially if you set up tanks over winter, because I have done that. I've set up aquariums and then gone in there and just noticed the fish are breathing a little bit heavier than they should be and gone, oh, there's not quite enough surface disruption, turn the air up a bit more or twiddle the filter around and stuff.
Having a good air pump going or having the filter disrupt the surface agitation disrupt the surface tension is a good practice anyway, regardless. So it's definitely
but as it
something
gets
I keep
warmer,
an eye
that
on.
becomes more key because there's less dissolved oxygen in the water.
Exactly, and don't want to be choking out your fish. So yeah, sweet as. Well, do you guys have anything else you want to raise before we scoot? Cool.
No, I'm good.
No.
Good chat.
Next week we're going to be potentially recording on another day, right?
Don't know what day, but almost definitely yes.
We definitely will not be recording on Wednesday next week. So to all our fans, keep an eye out for the update.
We'll let you know when we know.
We'll let you know. We'll let you know when Cam knows. Are you allowed to tell people about your job yet, Cam? Because people are always asking me what you're up to, and I can't tell them because you won't tell anyone.
Oh, I mean, we can.
I think people want to know what you're doing. They care about you.
Oh, they shouldn't. But yeah, I'm starting as a probation officer next week, so that's what we're doing. But yeah.
So hopefully some of us don't end up running into Cam at his new job.
Oh, time will tell. I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, I've got one question for you. With the mental health benefits of fish, do you think you'll get Ministry of Corrections funding to get all people on probation aquariums in their houses to help them calm down and enjoy it and chill out and not go back to jail?
I'm going to say it seems unlikely, but you never know.
Do you think you can get on a project team and implement a trial to see if people that have aquariums in their house murder less people after they get out of jail? Well,
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't remember when it was, but we did that episode where we talked about basically the nuttiest fish keeping experiences, and there was some problematic situations, shall we say, that got discussed. So I'm not casting any aspersions, but I'm just going to leave that tidbit of information there. Do with that what you will.
Could be a thing. Obviously, you're going to be really new in corrections, but if you want to make some waves and make a difference, it could be something you could do. Put it out there.
I'll see what we can come up with.
I'm sure people won't think that you're crazy.
Oh yeah, 0% chance. All right. Cool. Sweet as.
Good as go.
All right. We will talk to you guys later.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. See you later.
Cool. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Up the wires.
Fuck the